now more than ever. We're short of workers. We have a population that is not reproducing it on its own with the same level that it used to. The only way we're going to have a great future in America is if we welcome and embrace immigrants, the dreamers, and all of them, because our ultimate goal is to help the dreamers, but get a path to citizenship for all 11 million or however many undocumented there are here. Thank you for my colleagues for their 3 great statements. Yes.
Do you view it as at least a partial victory that you have a Republican like
Yep.
Do you view it as you have a Republican like
Yeah.
I've heard about the families that in Mexico that they get separated at the border. If you were to be president, what would you do about that?
I would stop it. My message to them is that you are not alone and we stand with you, and there are those of us who will fight for you and your rights every day. My message to them is do not live in fear. You are not alone, and America's values are such that we do not condone, as an American value, putting children in cages. America's values are not that we separate families. So we put in place a process to hear their stories, to determine the legitimacy of their stories, and if their story is legitimate, to give them a place of refuge and safety. And as President of the United States, I will make sure that is a real process so that we can hear their claims, and if they are deserving of protection, we will give it to them.
But they wouldn't be released from those detention facilities.
Cages.
Is the moment you take office?
Well, no, listen, there has to be a process in place. Cages, cages, cages.
They built cages. You know, they used to say, I built the cages. And then they had a picture in a certain newspaper, and it was a picture of these horrible cages. And they said, look at these cages. President Trump built them. And then it was determined they were built in 2014. That was him. Who built the cages, Joe?
Let's talk about what
Who built the cages,
Let's
Joe?
talk about what we're talking about.
Just ask one question. Who built the cages? I'd love you to ask him that. Who built the cages?
Let me ask about your immigration policy, Mr. Vice President. The Obama administration did fail to deliver immigration reform, which had been a key promise during the administration. It also presided over record deportations as well as family detentions at the border before changing course. So why should voters trust you with an immigration overhaul now?
Because we made a mistake. It took too long to get it right. It took too long to get it right. I'll be president of the United States, not vice president of the United States.
Message!
And the fact is, I've made it very clear. Within 100 days, I'm going to send to the United States Congress a pathway to citizenship for over 11 million undocumented people.
He has no understanding of immigration or the laws.
Guys, what you're looking at right now is the U.S. side of the Rio Grande. That is a mass of several hundred illegal immigrants who have just crossed the Rio Grande, and look at this, several hundred more streaming across as we speak. We're on a boat in the Rio Grande. This is the Mexican side of the river right now. You can see it's a never-ending stream, hundreds of people crossing the Rio Grande basically every hour, and they're heading over to the international bridge, which you can see in the background. Look at that mass of people. This is why the situation under the bridge continues to deteriorate. This is insane. The federal government has to wake up.
Madam Vice President.
So how quickly does this change what we see at the border?
I don't know that we're going to see listen, I've been very clear from the beginning. There's not going to be a quick fix. I would stop it. Okay.
Do you have any plans to visit the border?
I'm here in Guatemala today. At some point, we are going to the border. We've been to the border. So this whole thing about the border, we've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I don't understand the point that you're making. Oh, bleep. What are we going to do? At the same time, I want to be clear to folks in this region who are thinking about making that dangerous trek to the United States-Mexico border. Do not come. Do not come.
Would you call the border secure?
I think that there is no question that we have to do what the President and I asked Congress to do. Is the first request we made. Pass a bill to create a pathway to citizenship. The border is secure, but we also have a broken immigration system, in particular over the last 4 years before we came in, and it needs to be fixed.
You're confident this border is secure?
We have a secure border in that is a priority for any nation, including ours and our administration. But there are still a lot of problems that we are trying to fix, given the deterioration that happened over the last 4 years.
Can you understand the frustration, though, that Americans have about the situation at the border?
It's not a monolith. There are a variety of components to this. One is the fact that under the previous administration, they decimated a system that was designed to address immigration. And so we have been spending, in the last 18 months we've been in office, spending an incredible amount of time and work and resources to reconstruct that system. And I just think it's an absolute dereliction of duty. If you see a problem, and if we agree that we need to address it, then if you're a leader, participate in a solution, right? When we first came in office, the first bill that we proposed was for a pathway for citizenship, was to fix a broken immigration system, which was broken under the previous administration.
I would, in fact, make sure that we immediately surge to the border. All those people are seeking asylum. They deserve to be heard. That's who we are. We're a nation that says if you want to flee and you're fleeing oppression, you should come.
Do not come. Do not come.
Surge to the border.
Do not come.
You should come.
Do not come.